Okay, welcome to the deep dive. You've sent us some really interesting source material this time.
Yeah,
And
that's
we're
right.
going to dive into how furniture companies can, well, really get serious about being environmentally friendly.
Hmm.
And crucially, how they talk about it. Honestly.
That's the key part, isn't it? The source is this briefing document. It boils down a pretty big framework.
Right.
And the document itself, it calls it a video pill. Almost like a, concentrated shot of info for
A
companies.
video pill, I like that. Kind of sums it up, a quick way to grasp things.
Exactly.
So, our mission today for this deep dive is to pull out the main ideas from this framework, how companies can spot their environmental impact,
Mm-hmm.
make real improvements, and then, importantly, communicate that whole journey
Yeah.
using these voluntary tools the source talks about.
Precisely. And what's interesting, I think, is that the framework isn't just looking at one thing. It's holistic.
Holistic, how so?
It gets into how companies should look at environmental stuff, attributes, impacts across, well, several different levels of how they operate.
Okay, so it's not just about, say, the wood in the final chair.
Hmm.
The source pushes for starting broader.
That's right. It emphasizes looking first at the organization level,
Yeah.
the whole company,
Right.
then drilling down into manufacturing processes, then the product itself, and finally, distribution.
Organization, manufacturing, product distribution.
Yeah.
Got it. So how does the framework actually help companies identify their impact at each of those stages?
Good question. It gives these structured guidelines for mapping out environmental performance along that whole chain.
Okay.
So like at the organization level, that might mean looking at where your energy comes from for the whole business or setting big sustainability targets.
Makes sense.
Then in manufacturing, it gets more specific, like how efficient are the machines? How much waste are you creating? Managing emissions, that kind of thing.
Right, the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. And for the product, it's about what it's made of. Are you using certified wood, recycled stuff, and is it designed to last or be recycled?
Design matters too then.
Hugely. And then distribution that covers transport, packaging, making it all more efficient. It's really about, detailed identification first,
Yeah.
step by step, before you jump to solutions.
I see. Map it out thoroughly first. Makes sense. And then, once they've identified those impacts, does the framework suggest ways to actually improve them?
Yes, it does. It offers strategies for improvement at each level we mentioned, but just as critical is the communication bit.
Oh. Yes.
The framework gives guidelines for being transparent about all this, using what it calls voluntary instruments.
Voluntary instruments.
Yeah.
Okay, can you unpack that a bit? What sort of tools are we actually talking about here?
Sure. The source means basically non-mandatory tools, things companies choose to adopt.
Okay, choose to use, like what?
Well, it could be setting up an environmental management system, maybe like ISO 14001, or using specific standards to calculate their carbon footprint.
Right, recognize standards.
Exactly. Or getting known eco-labels for their products, like FSC for wood, or taking part in reporting frameworks like GRI for corporate sustainability reporting.
Ah,
These are tools a company picks to sort of structure what they're doing and show they're credible.
gotcha. So it's about picking established, believable ways to prove what you're doing,
Right.
not just making vague green claims.
Precisely.
That sounds like a really key way to tackle greenwashing, which the framework mentions. Right.
Absolutely. This whole structured approach, hitting all the levels, using defined voluntary tools to talk about it, it's presented as a direct way against greenwashing.
Because you have the data.
Exactly. You have clear data, you're using recognized standards, so you can provide information people can actually verify.
Okay. And connecting this to the bigger picture, the source says this framework helps companies align with EU environmental policies. How does doing all this help with that?
Well, a lot of EU policy is focusing more and more on the life cycle of products, supply chain transparency, circular economy stuff. So by systematically identifying impacts organization through to distribution and using these credible voluntary tools,
Uh-huh.
companies are basically building the evidence, the processes they need to meet current rules, future rules, or even just the voluntary initiatives pushed by the EU.
That makes a lot of sense. It sets them up better for whatever regulations might come down the line.
For sure.
And the framework suggests this isn't just about ticking compliance boxes. It actually improves their position in the market.
Exactly right. Think about it, consumers, other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting much more savvy about environmental issues.
True.
So a furniture company that can genuinely show what it's doing across the board and back it up with transparent reporting using these tools, well, they're more likely to win those customers. It builds trust, builds the brand.
So it's about doing good for the planet and doing well commercially.
That's the idea.
And this approach also feeds into the circular economy concept.
Yes, definitely, because it tackles things like where materials come from, designing products to last or be taken apart easily, cutting waste and making things and shipping them.
Right.
It naturally guides companies towards those circular principles, keeping materials in use, designing waste out.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What's the absolute core message from this briefing document for furniture companies listening?
I'd say the core takeaway is really the power of combining two things: comprehensive action across all the business levels, organization, manufacturing, product,
The
distribution,
whole chain.
the whole chain. Combine that deep action with transparency and effective communication using those credible voluntary instruments. That integration, that's the essential formula presented here.
Action plus transparency equals impact and potentially a competitive edge. It seems like a clear roadmap for companies wanting to genuinely improve and be honest about it.
Yeah, I think so. It helps move them from just talking about it, aspiration, to actually doing and reporting credibly.
Okay, so we've dug into how this framework guides furniture companies. Identify, improve, communicate using voluntary tools. Thinking specifically about that last part, relying on voluntary communication and aiming for transparency. Here's something for you, the listener, to consider. If companies choose to be really open about their environmental journey, maybe even the challenges they're still facing, how do they strike that balance between being transparent, which is good,
Yeah.
and protecting sensitive business information, your proprietary stuff from their competitors? Something to mull over.